I'm not handling this well. This is my 6th of 7 straight overnight tests in as many weeks. I'm not seeing much daylight and the whole thing is completely stressing me out. Also, to see my family properly, I'm sleeping in shifts on many days, which just isn't working. And then when this test started with rain, that made it all worse. And I struggled through the first day because I actually forgot when this test started. Actually, I didn't forget when it started. I didn't know what day it was. And so I wasn't prepared, and then it rained, and I spent the entire night trying to stay up against my body's wishes to not watch any cricket. And somewhere around the tired, confused, missing daylight thing, I think I just got really jaded.
This is the last knock. My dad told me to say this.
None of this was helped by the fact that I missed most of the Bangladesh win over New Zealand to rest up for what is a dead rubber, and also didn't see as much of the India-South Africa series as I wanted. And then there's England, right? They've been rancid, like if a vomit made love to a shit and had babies. They started off by making such a mess with their selections, they followed that up with just a lack of catching, then they got their selections wrong again for the next test, and then by the third test they'd given up on batting entirely. It felt tedious, inevitable and long. Melbourne was my favourite test match just because it was over so quick. England are probably the only people watching the whole Novak Djokovic visa thing and thinking, wow, if only we'd done weird shit with our applications to this country, maybe they wouldn't have let us in and we'd been spared this embarrassment. The only English players who've done well are the ones who haven't actually been on the field. Ben Foakes is now the world's best wicketkeeper. Jofra Archer is faster than we remember. James Vince is a smooth sex machine of batting, and Dom Bess is an off-spin's first sexual tyrannosaur. If England hadn't turned up with a similar bowling attack to what they had before, and had found batting that was not actually highly flammable material, there would have at least been something to ramp up to. But this was destined to be a loss from the moment they came out just to fulfill Cricket Australia's contract with the broadcasters during a global pandemic. England's Ashes have been like one of those zombie films where everyone is worried about being eaten by the undead, but the actual real problems come from those they are locked in the house with. This has been the Ashes of the living dead. And then after all this, we go to the SCG for rain and a flat pitch. And a dead rubber. And have you ever seen the Davis Cup or the Billie Jean King Cup? If the scoreline is over, the dead rubber matches are played out like charity events, but without any fun. They're not even phoned in. It's like some doubles player with the racket they borrowed from a friend is puffing on a cigar at the change of ends, and no one gives a shit. Other sports kill their dead rubbers completely. If you're 4-0 down in the NBA Finals, they don't make you perform 3 more times because they'd already booked the court. Not cricket. People travelled on boat to get there back in the day, and tickets helped pay the way for the trip back home, so you better believe they were squeezing every last dollar out of every test they could. And we could have changed this, but we've had bigger things to worry about, like light up bails and what colour shoelaces the players are wearing. And because this is our sport, we got to the finish, the big finale, with a part-time bowler delivering to one of the worst batters in the world. Baseball is cricket's illegitimate child, and their sport is going all in and making sure that the best pitchers are thrown to the greatest hitters. And we just finished one of the most watched events of recent times with Jimmy Anderson, famous for being England's losing wicket, and Steve Smith, who hadn't taken a test victim since before 2016 until today. If these two had switched places, you'd have 2 all-time greats doing what made them legends. But cricket is so fucked up that we had 2 part-timers apologising for even being in this mess. Fuck the best of the best. Let's have shittest versus the least bothered in fading light and finish it up with a ball that most people in the crowd could have delivered and played. A little bit of grass on the wicket is good, but too much and all hell breaks loose. Not enough and things can go sideways very quick. The same is true of your pubic hair. And you don't have a groundsman who smells like fertilizer telling you what to do. No, you are the curator of your own pubic pitch. So if you're having trouble grooming your pitch, what about Manscaped? They've invented a sleek, well-designed, optimized trimmer that helps you shave your balls. I've used it, and it's incredible. It's good enough to use at Lord's. So get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code REDINKA. And you just put that in at manscaped.com. That's 20% off, free worldwide shipping, manscaped.com. The code is REDINKA. I always thought this podcast took balls more seriously than anyone else. Then I tried Manscaped. And then, of course, there's the draw. A tie wasn't enough for our sport. We added a whole new element when no one wins. There is no golden goal or penalties or overtime or nothing. Just handshakes and stale beer. A sport that involves you to be tested physically and mentally for 5 days, only at the end so you can feel unsure about the results and, I don't know, life itself. And it's all there, right? Tiredness, anger, disappointment, ineptitude, pointlessness, and a lack of talent with no one winning. And of course I loved it. Halfway through the day, I would have given you money to continue sleeping when it was raining. When Bairstow and Stokes were batting, I would have celebrated like I'd won the US Open myself if Cummins had just said, hey, let's shake hands. If England had done one of their patented collapses at any stage, I would have strutted to bed like I had the skill and determination to win a test for my country. But cricket said no. You were going to watch this dreadful team try and not win a match in a series they have already lost. And of course we did. Because who gives a shit about all those facts? It came down to 9 wickets and 18 balls. Intellectually, you can have all your arguments about why this is all bullshit. The jaded side of you that delivers pure snark on Twitter was ready to go. But close test matches just touch you in the feels. It wasn't like the tension of the South Africa-India match. And it wasn't like the joy of Bangladesh's victory over New Zealand. But it was close. And a test match being close has the ability to change how you feel physically. It affects how you breathe and think. And suddenly all the things that you know to be true just don't matter. Because look at how many people they have around the bat. The idea that this is pointless and you should be reading a good book or learning a new language doesn't matter. Because there is a silly point for a fast bowler. And it isn't like other close sport. There isn't as much yelling or celebrating. It makes you breathless. Every ball builds on the other to form this physical pressure down upon you, forcing you deeper in your chair. A close test just captures you and it makes your imagination try and predict the future. You're part of the narrative of this, and this limbo can last for hours. The frustration of the first 4 days and the rain breaks, and Australia already winning the series and cruising to another inevitable victory are swept away because Steve Smith has just dismissed Jack Leach, the same Leach that Smith absolutely did not parody after Australia retained the Ashes last time. And now Jimmy Anderson has to come in again. The man who only bats when England is about to lose something has to trudge out again, with his team having let him down again, and do the job that at no stage in his career he's ever been physically able to do again. And at the other end is Stuart Broad, who started as an all-rounder, made 100 as the bowlers in question were about to go to jail, was walloped in the head so hard that it knocked the batting out of it, and now plays in such an entertaining way that his batting has its own Twitter account. And Broad is the more competent of the two. I mean, Jimmy Anderson can't play pace or spin. You'd think over 160 tests he'd have worked out at least one of them, even like by accident. But no, here he is again, doing the job he's no good at because cricket forces him to do it, while his nation is waking up expecting for him to have already been dismissed and for him to trudge back off the ground again disappointed as he has done in so many losses. And he's facing Steve Smith, the batter who was accidentally selected for Australia, the leg spinner who became accidentally the best batter in the world, and the man who lost his job because another man put sandpaper on at least 3 balls that we're aware of. Think about it. And he's only bowling because there is a time in cricket when we say that the light is too bad to play safely unless you chuck the ball to some bum who's not athletic enough to deliver it fast. So it didn't matter how tired or jaded I was because now Jimmy Anderson is facing Steve Smith. And it doesn't matter what time it is, or what came before it, or what set of random events led us here. This has been building all day, and it's an over that feels like it takes an hour, even though it's barely a minute, and nothing even really happens. Yet, I lived through every ball, and I'm more awake than I have been in weeks. And these ordinary leg breaks being blunted by a horrendous technique, and it is now the only thing that matters to me. And for over an hour, everything else has faded away. It doesn't matter that this test was farcical, dark, wet, stupid, and pointless, because it's close. And a close test is nothing else in the world. A close test is like living the moment between the fight and the makeup sex. You could be about to get divorced or have the best orgasm of your life. It's like the snail on the razor, but also the unexpected Christmas bonus. A close test is like falling in love all over again, while knowing it would never last, and not caring one bit. And I was not handling this well, but this time it felt perfect.